Namaste. Ladies and gentlemen and my friends and colleagues from the media, I'm Ritika Jhanji Chaktiani. You may have seen me on multiple channels hosting various shows, but today here I am to host a very special and eventful celebration, the grand launch of Ramagya Mart. अब जहाँ पर राम का नाम है और राम की आज्ञा, वहाँ पर विश्वास तो होना ही है ना? So with that very thought, I formally commence launching India's very first business-to-business wholesale portal, Ramagya Mart, all with a difference. Now in these digital times, portals तो बहुत से हैं, लेकिन Ramagya Mart की बात अलग है. We are not trying to be like any other. We are not trying to fit in because Ramagya Mart is born to stand out. Ramagya Mart is said to be a game changer in the B2B e-commerce sector. But before we talk a little bit more about its features and its advantages and the benefits for the manufacturers and wholesale buyers, let me introduce you to the esteemed panel of professionals who have been instrumental in putting Ramagya Mart together. Innovative, far-sighted, a true visionary. No words are enough to describe the personality who's coming on next. He's the man behind setting up one of the most respected educational institutions in this part of the country. His story is an inspiring journey from rags to riches, where he kept transforming every adversity into an opportunity every step of the way and eventually set up this entity called the Ramagya Group. His Ramagya Schools and Ramagya Sports Academy is hailed as one of the best in the country. Not just that, he is deeply involved with the group's CSR initiatives through the Ramagya Foundation. He is a recipient of many prestigious awards like Times Power Icon Award, Asia Pacific Achievers Awards, and many, many more. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to welcome right now to this launch of Ramagya Mart, the chairman of the Ramagya Group, Dr. Sanjay Gupta. बहुत बहुत स्वागत है आपका डॉक्टर संजय गुप्ता. मुबारक हो, बहुत बड़ा दिन रामज्ञा ग्रुप के लिए. क्यों ना इसकी शुरुआत हम ऑस्पिशियस लैंप लाइटिंग सेरेमनी से करें.
आप सभी को मेरा नमस्कार.
आइए.
जैसे कि आप सभी जानते हैं, रामज्ञा ग्रुप का ये हमेशा से प्रयास रहा है कि जो भी बिजनेस हम करें वो विश्वास के साथ करें, जैसे हमारे साथ साथ हमारे देश का भी विकास हो. इसी विश्वास से और आप सबके सहयोग से आज हम एक और नया कदम उठाने जा रहे हैं. इस शुभ अवसर पर मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि हमारे मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर मिस्टर उत्कर्ष गुप्ता आप लोगों को रामज्ञा मार्ट के बारे में कुछ बताएं.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjay Gupta. The less you spoke, the more you said. It's really commendable, sir, how you're constantly working towards the progress and prosperity of the country. Thank you so much. And now let's talk a little bit more about the vision behind Ramagya Mart. It's time for me to introduce you to the brain behind Ramagya Mart. Someone who's invested 3 years of his time and Ramagya Group's resources because he believed in the day that is today. The managing director of Ramagya Mart and the spine of Ramagya Group. Having learnt business management in India and overseas, he's managed to bring about the latest innovations and technologies to Ramagya Group. Someone whose philosophy is trade, trust, and transparency. He's always propagated the concept of embracing the right values because they become your destiny. What a beautiful thought. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a very warm welcome to the Managing Director of Ramagya Mart, Mr. Utkarsh Gupta.
Thank you, Ritika. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen from the press and the business community. Ramagya Group and me are delighted to have you all here today. In this dynamic world of business, e-commerce is the new marketplace. I wanted to create a platform that would change the B2B e-commerce space, where every Indian manufacturer will be given the same opportunity to showcase themselves like any other big brand. In order to have a macro view as well as the in-depth insight of the business, we realized that we needed the best brand consultancy in India for both research and brand strategy. In this journey, we researched over 1,000 manufacturers across India to identify their business, marketing and distribution challenges. The outcome was Ramagya Mart, Aapka, Mera aur Desh Ka Vyapar. After 3 years of my team's effort and an investment of 100 million by Ramagya Group, we are projecting a turnover of 250 crores within the next 2 years. And today, I am proud to announce that Ramagya Mart is India's only B2B portal that will specialize to assist and brands to do thriving wholesale business on our digital platform. Welcome to the world of Ramagya Mart. Thank you all. Thanks for being a part of Ramagya Mart. But before I invite Ritika back, here is a special video that truly describes the ethos of Ramagya Mart.
Jaya 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 He.
Then came COVID, impacting manufacturers, workers and traders. A wholesale e-commerce trading platform exclusively for home appliance manufacturing. Take the Ramagya advantage to make your manufacturing profitable. Get Ramagya Vishwas certified to gain the trust and credibility of traders. Take advantage of Ramagya Vigyapit custom solutions to promote your business and build your brand image. Manufacturer bhi khush, retailer bhi khush, trader bhi khush with Ramagya Udhar. Manufacturers can select and geo-target regions of distribution interest.
What a beautifully curated video, and how it shows, describes how Vishwas so effortlessly transcends from the very core of Ramagya Group to become an important pillar of Ramagya Mart. Thank you so much, Mr. Utkarsh. And now it's time for me to introduce you to the face of Ramagya Mart. A hugely talented actor who seems to be growing and evolving with every performance, setting higher benchmarks for everyone else to follow, much like Ramagya Mart's mission. Ladies and gentlemen, we proudly present to you the brand ambassador of Ramagya Mart.
Dreams to make it big in the tinsel town, carved a niche for himself and garnered praises for his stupendous performances in films like Highway, biopics like Sarabjit, and not just into theatres and Bollywood. He shared a screen space with Chris Hemsworth in a Hollywood thriller. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Randeep Hooda.
Well, thank you, Ritika, for the overwhelming introduction. I'm very happy to be here. Let me begin by saying that I'm super excited at the start of my journey with Ramagya Mart. What got me interested was that the way Ramagya Mart can, change the dynamics for the Indian home appliance industry and manufacturers in this, digital age and highly competitive space. I see very few Indian brands that have a high recall value, like, in comparison to the deep-pocketed international brands, which are everywhere, all around us, and they spend a lot of money in advertising and distribution. So the question that comes to my mind is, why can't we have more than 100 Indian brands, being recalled and widely known in a population of 1.3 billion people that we are? It's a huge market. This can be possible when Indian manufactured brands are distributed well by resellers, wholesalers, traders, and that's the only way that the Indian home appliance brands would be visible. वो बोलते हैं ना, जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. So this is a platform which enables that. And in the interest of Atmanirbhar Bharat's mission, I would want distributors, wholesalers, and retailers to encourage Indian home appliance manufacturers by selling their brands, by stocking up on them. Your push to their business will give manufacturers the much needed funds to invest on their manufacturing capabilities. And very importantly, they must invest on brand promotion for building credibility. I thank Ramagya Mart management for their efforts and their welcoming me and making me a part of this journey. And I look forward to our Indian home appliance manufacturers using Ramagya Mart as their distribution and brand building platform starting today. Thank you.
Mr. Randeep Hooda, for those encouraging words. And I absolutely agree with you when you say that you don't recall more than a few Indian home appliance brands. I'm very sure that your message out to the retailers, the wholesalers, the resellers and distributors will be motivating enough for them to make Indian manufacturers their priority.
Thank you.
But as we say, every strong business has a robust foundation. Time for me to introduce you to the foundation of Ramagya Mart, the man behind Ramagya Mart. He's known for his business acumen, his strategic thinking, and his persistent positive attitude. This gentleman has worked for over a quarter century in many reputed organizations occupying senior management positions. Organizations like Xerox, Scholastic India, India Today Group, Radio Mirchi, before of course joining Newton Consulting Group, INC. Now, Ramagya Group had approached Newton Consulting India for the brand strategy and business communication at a time when Ramagya Mart was just at the ideation stage. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute pleasure to invite onto stage Gilroy Trills, Director Strategy of Newton Consulting India, who's going to be answering all the questions that you've sent us about Ramagya Mart.
Hi Ritika, good afternoon. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Great, it's a pleasure being here at this event.
It's been a delight hosting it, and I feel that the day that you worked so hard for is finally here. So it must be feeling just so special to be here, right?
I'm elated. I'm really elated on this special day, in fact.
So there are a lot of questions that we've received from the manufacturers, from people who want to list themselves on Ramagya Mart. Of course, we can't take them individually, but we have tried to sum everything into 6 to 7 questions, which I'll be taking up with you and just elaborate as much as you can on them.
Sure, absolutely. I will try to answer all your questions, but every answer that I'm going to be giving you is backed with data that has been accrued and acquired through research of nearly 1 year. And this research-based answers, I hope I would be able to satisfy everybody with the answers.
I'm sure. So let's get started. Gilroy, being Ramagya Mart's strategy spokesperson, the very first question to you is that how did the whole journey of Ramagya Mart happen?
Great. It's an exciting question for me to actually answer. So firstly, good afternoon. I'm really thrilled to be part of this virtual event. The journey has been really exciting, to answer your question. I have been part of this journey with Ramagya Group for the last 3 years. And in the process, there was a lot of challenges, a lot of hard work, a lot of unlearnings that came across the path, a lot of learnings that came across the path. Some of the learnings gave us insightful direction. Some of the learnings gave us a lot of unlearnings in the process.
So overall, the journey has been really exciting and fun.
So Gilroy, now that we've relieved the category that is home appliances, could you just elaborate a bit on how did you arrive at home appliances as the focus area for Ramagya Mart? I'm sure you have the research on the back of your hand by now.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you look at India, India is divided into two portions. I could actually break it out into two pieces, okay? There's a 35% population where we reside in, which is urban India, and there is a 65% population that resides in rural India.
Right.
When we look at home appliance brands of repute, we have seen a 20% growth even in the pandemic years that we have witnessed. And a 20% growth propelled from rural India is a big thing. That is a very important statistic for all of us to realize, that there is an impetus of home appliance utilization because of modernization in rural India. So that 20% trigger of growth of brands coming from rural India was a very important statistic for us to keep in mind. Right. The second important element, which is again very exciting for all of us to know, is that there has been a growth trend which has been predicted. A 10% CAGR growth expected in home appliances as a category, which includes kitchen appliances, personal care appliances, and the overall home appliance category. So this CAGR growth of 10% that we are talking about, and a 20% growth coming from rural India in home appliances, are the reasons that we selected home appliances as a category. To add on to my point, there's a very interesting thought which I want to bring to the table. If I look at India and I look at the number of brands that exist in India today in home appliances, I'm sure all of you all that I'm talking to would definitely know about brands that come to your mind. But if you count these brands, they are on tip of your fingers. Now, are those brands enough to meet the demand that we have today? So the question is, which we will answer maybe in the next questions that you ask me, but I'm very sure that the reason of why we selected home appliances is very clear and has been elaborated. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Oh, absolutely. Very clearly explained.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Moving on to the next question is, of course, that what is the whole alignment between Ramagya Mart's business plan and the much talked about vocal for local in the brand strategy?
Right. Okay, great. So again, we go back to the same dynamics. Okay, so we have two parts of India, but when we look at the turnovers that this particular category, home appliances, generates, we are generating a $3 billion turnover in this category. Now, 50% of this turnover is generated from regional players. So when I say regional players, these are regional manufacturers which are not catering to urban India. Now, they are not brands. They have not created an iconic recognition from a consumer standpoint. But what they have done is that they have sustained manufacturing, they have grown demand, and they have grown demand in region of their focus.
Right.
So when I look at the local for vocal, we are looking at this $1.5 billion generating segment, which is not being recognized and has the potential to grow the category because of modernization, because of trends moving from urban India to rural India. So there is a lot of potential that needs to be addressed. And a lot of this potential can be addressed by regional players. When I say regional players, I'm talking about Indian manufacturers in alignment to the Prime Minister's vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. And that is typically what we are talking about today. And the local for vocal connect is basically Ramagya Mart promoting Indian manufacturers in their space to propel capacities, to give them revenues and added turnovers, and that's typically the reason why the local for vocal connect and Ramagya Mart, which is, again, when I talk Ramagya Mart, you know, I mean, it sounds Indian, right? So we have to do things for India. And that's the connect between local for vocal and Ramagya Mart.
And I'm sure there's so many manufacturers who are watching us right now, and they'll be very happy to hear this answer and the strategy that at last somebody is focusing on them.
Right.
You know, that brings me to my next question, Gilroy, that what problem areas, they must have been many, does Ramagya Mart solve for the manufacturer here?
Right.
For example, payments is a big issue for them, you know, the whole transfer and the whole Vishwas thing we're talking about. So what are the problem areas, the pain points that you will address?
It's a very interesting question again for me. When we look at India today and we look at the manufacturers who contribute to 1.5 billion turnover of this particular $3 billion revenues that this segment of home appliances generate. The biggest challenge that manufacturers have who are not branded, I would call it,
Right.
is basically promotion. And the reason and the way they do their promotion to create value or to create demand is driven by a fact that they generate leads. And that is basically not the right way to promote your brand. Because B2B space today, or the B2B players in this space today, what they offer manufacturers is, you come to me, I will build your brand, and I will ensure that I give you leads. Now, I'm not aware of any brand that has actually succeeded on the back of leads. What you need is to create your image. You need a platform that you can actually transact. You need a platform that gives you revenue. You need a platform that gives you the energy to energize your business.
Right.
And that energy is money. And where do you get money? Money comes from transactions and not from leads. The B2B space today, or the B2B manufacturers today, are all dependent on B2B portals to give them and generate leads for them. And they are called promotion. We are not trying to change the way people work. We don't want to change the way people work. We're just telling them that we are a better alternative to leads. You spend the same money on my platform at Ramagya Mart, and I will ensure that with that kind of money that you spend, we will generate revenues for you. We will create your image. We will create your brand. We will create credibility. We will get India to know you. I do not want to count manufacturers on the fingertips of my fingers, on brands on the on my fingertips. I would want to count at least 100 manufacturers, as was told by Randeep Huda. He did mention that today I'm looking at 100 manufacturers coming from Pan-India, from this initiative. So can we have recognizable brands coming from rural India and addressing rural India? And that is typically the kind of vision that we have to problem solve and create more value as a mission of Ramagya Mart to manufacturers that contribute to a large value. And that value is basically what we bring to the table. We build credibility, we give you business, we don't give you leads. That's what it is.
That you're not just giving visibility, but also fueling the growth by taking the full circle. And I think that's what manufacturers today need. Talking of them, do you already have manufacturers board on Ramagya Mart? And also, are there any specific categories within home appliances that you're focusing on?
In fact, I'm really elated to inform you all and inform everybody out here that we have 1,000+ manufacturers that have listed onto the Ramagya Mart portal even prior to launch. And that for me was a eureka moment when we had 1,000 manufacturers that came on board and we had not even promoted our brand. And today when we are launching, we have the support of 1,000 manufacturers, Indian manufacturers who have trusted the Vishwas entity or the Vishwas ethos of Ramagya Group and come onboarded with Ramagya Mart. The second part of my answer would be, we have 23 unique categories under home appliances, which is further broken down into kitchen home appliances, personal care home appliances, and personal use home appliances.
Sure.
So these are the three categories under home appliances that we have. And I'm sure we will be looking at adding more and more categories under home appliances going forward, but that is yet to come. But what we have today at the day of the launch is 23 unique categories under home appliances.
All the manufacturers, Gilroy, who are hearing you right now will be very eager to know that since this platform is a wholesale trading platform for them, what are the kind of services you're offering them?
It's important for me to talk about the services because as Ramagya Mart, the services that we offer Indian manufacturers are segmented into 3 different unique offerings. The first offering that we offer manufacturers is that we give them a free space. The first 1,000 manufacturers that came on board asked us many questions, like questions like, sir, हमारे अगर हम images डालेंगे हमारे web portal पे, तो क्या उसमें charges लगेंगे? Number 1. Point number 2 was, अगर हम e-brochure upload करेंगे, क्या उसका charge आप हमारे से लेंगे? Number 3, the question that came in, अगर हम वीडियो अपलोड करेंगे ये कैटेगरी में, क्या हमारा कोई चार्जेस हमको देना पड़ेगा? So the answer that we gave all these manufacturers, जब हम रामाग्या मार्ट पे आप आते हो, there is no charges. We would not charge you for giving you a web space जहाँ पे आप आपका e-mart develop करेंगे, because every wholesale e-mart needs to be visible to a buyer. For that, we have to give you a space. The digital space is completely free. We give you space to upload your photographs of your images and your categories, in terms of images of your category that you come on board for. We give you space for the brochure. We give you space for your video. So all of these spaces were completely given free of cost. So you can develop an e-mart with all services offered completely free. And we gave that service to the first 1,000 manufacturers. Now we have 1,000 manufacturers on board, and I'm sure that there will be many other manufacturers after this launch who would want to come and join hands with Ramagya Mart. Now that's part 1. Part 2, how does a manufacturer transact on the platform? So there are many buyers who will come on board after watching this particular launch. There are many wholesalers, traders, retailers who would want to come and start buying on this platform. But we would not allow any buying to happen till the time the manufacturers do not have a Vishwas certification. Now, what is a Vishwas certification? A Vishwas certification is when there is a physical verification that is done of the manufacturer at his location. And this verification is being done by a global verification agency.
Right.
That is the first important element. The second important element that I want to bring to the table is that when you have a Vishwas certification, only then can you transact. Only then can we give you business. That is the first element. I mean, the first important part of this particular scenario. Now, when you have a Vishwas certification, you also have another interesting product that is coming to you, which I will explain to you all a little later, maybe during this launch. And I may not be able to open it up completely, but I will tell you something about it. Now comes to the important element of how does a manufacturer promote himself or themselves? The most important part in this element or this particular scenario is that we have a team of people who are customer service managers, we have area sales managers, and we have category service managers. Now, all of these guys are there to customize solutions for manufacturers to build up their credibility, to build up their image, to promote their image, and to attract buyers to transact and give them business.
Right.
And that is a customized solution that we are offering to basically manufacturers. And this customization is what makes us different from any other B2B service portal available. Also, to add and to make this long story short, we are here to give you business. We are here to give you transactions. Our job is to make sure that we tell you how to get business. And for that, you need to listen to what we advise you. And that advice is completely free. We are not going to be charging you for advice. We are not going to be charging you for your e-mart. We are not going to be charging you for any service which is available free of cost on the platform. But it's your job to promote yourself as manufacturers. It is your job for it is your job as manufacturers to ensure that you utilize the services of Ramagya Mart to ensure that you transact and make your business grow and your revenues grow. And that's typically, I think, what we have as services for Ramagya Mart.
Thank you for detailing out, and I'm sure it makes it very attractive and catchy for the manufacturers there. But one product which you haven't touched upon till now, Gilroy, is the Ramagya Udhar.
Oh, I was just talking about it, in fact, and then I wanted to not talk about it.
But I think I will request you to detail out as much as you can at this point, so that our viewers get to know about it.
Sure, absolutely. So Ramagya Udhar is a product that will be a bridge between the wholesaler, trader, retailer, and the manufacturer. So we have two segments. We have the buyer segment that makes, because we are a wholesale platform, we have a buyer segment which is a retailer, a wholesaler, and a distributor. It could even be a reseller. And then we have a seller segment, which is the manufacturer. Ramagya Udhar is going to be the bridge or the commercial bridge to enable transactions between both of these dynamic points. And when I say dynamic points, I'm talking about the manufacturer, and I'm talking about the buyer, who is basically wholesaler, retailer, and trader. Now, what is Ramagya Udar? Well, I can't disclose it right now. We are in the product integration stage. Hopefully, I should be able to launch this product in the next 1 month, keeping in mind that it's already something that you have touched upon. I can only say one thing, that this is going to be a game changer. This is going to be the most awaited tool that the business community would want. And we are here to make the difference, and we are here to make the change, and that's why we are Ramagya Mart. And that's why we commit transactions. We do not commit leads. We tell you that you come to us, we tell you how to create your image, we tell you how to build your brand, we tell you what to do. And at the end of the day, we enable transactions happen for you. And that's typically what is going to happen, and it's going to happen better when we have Ramagya Udar coming to us. So I hope I've not been able to disclose too much to you,
right,
but I have only told you that
you left a hook for us to keep guessing.
It's a hook, yeah. You have to wait for this to happen. Right. And we will announce it again in another kind of a press meet.
Sure.
In this manner, that everybody gets excited about what's new to come.
Right. Thank you so much, Gilroy. You really detailed out it, and I think you kind of managed to address a lot of queries that I think our viewers have. So I hope, and you can always write to us if you have any more queries, and we'll try to address those issues. And of course, if you haven't still listed yourself at Ramagya Mart, do that now. Gilroy, we also have with us the brand ambassador, the face of Ramagya Mart, Mr. Randeep Hooda. And just as we got questions for you, we've crowdsourced questions for him also, though we'll keep it very quick and chatty with him. Right. Should we get into a conversation with him now?
Absolutely. Please go ahead. It'll be fun.
So Gilroy Tills, Director Strategy, Newton's Consulting India. It was fun chatting with you, and thank you so much, Mr. Randeep Hooda. We've been told that you've been shooting for days outside Mumbai, and your presence really makes this event so special. Thank you so much for making time for this.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
So, before I get into discussions with the media, and before we open it for some questions for the media that have already come in, from our side, Gilroy and I were thinking that we would really like to know, Randeep, that if you were given a chance and the power to invent a home appliance that could solve a function or a purpose you really struggle with, what that appliance would be and what would you name it?
Plastic recycling. If there was a plastic recycling home appliance available to every kitchen, and instead of relying on it being, collected from your home and disposed of correctly or reaching the recycling plant, whether that happens or not is a big question. So the best would be to whatever, plastic or other waste that you have, you can recycle it in your house, collect it and probably ship it out a month and make money of it.
That's really thoughtful. I think that's really the need of the hour. And what would you name it?
I don't know. Under the hood.
That's nice. Gilroy, you two have questions for Mr. Randeep. Let's get on with it.
Absolutely. I do have a question for Randeep. In fact, so the question I have for Randeep is, if you had to commence a B2B platform into any business, into any space, but a B2B e-commerce platform, what would you name it?
Well, Under One Hood is a good one. Hooda Mart is another good one.
Hooda Mart is lovely. I love Hooda Mart.
Hooda Mart.
Great recall value.
Come to Hooda Mart for all things you would really like.
With the tagline also.
I know next time for any product launch, maybe Gilroy, we should also take Mr. Randeep's suggestions, because he comes up with such nice names with high recall value.
I have a degree in marketing. I almost finished my post-graduation in it. So I can come up with some catchy phrases for sure.
Great, excellent. So I think now I have basically the challenge is maybe I have to basically take care of my seat. Because
no, Gilroy, I think you're safe. You're safe. I love my other job too much.
Awesome.
All right. So with that safety promise, Gilroy, I think we'll have to let you go, since there's just so much else that needs to be done around this launch. Thank you so much for taking all the questions that came across the presentation, and of course for being there. And the day is finally there, and loads of great feedback coming your way. with this launch. And I'm sure there are lots of questions from the manufacturers also, which we're going to shoot across to you for you to answer later. Thank you so much. Thank you. Mr. Randeep, I request you to please stay on as we have members from the media here present in this event. If I have Charu Lamba from Indian Retailer, could you please make your presence felt and ask your question? Who is it directed towards? Is it for Gilroy or is it for Mr. Randeep Huda?
It is for Randeep Huda.
Okay.
And I want to ask, what is his thoughts on vocal for local? I mean, because Ramagya Mart is promoting vocal for local. So what is his opinion on vocal for local?
Well, local for vocal is very self-explanatory, actually. Our country has, every country has their things. I mean, we are buying home appliances which are local somewhere in the country or somewhere in the world, and we are buying it here at premium because they've got high visibility. We spend a lot of money in marketing and image building. So Indian manufacturers need a cost-effective platform to build their brand image and credibility with the home appliances traders across India. And as most manufacturers find it difficult to invest in distribution and marketing, Ramagya Mart as a platform will be really helpful in giving manufacturers the competitive edge and align them with the new age digital technology, which is what Ramagya Mart's biggest asset is, and that's what we are doing now. We are on digital press conference. So this is the future, and I think that's why local for vocal people locally manufacturing stuff will find their voice, their image, and a platform to be vocal about their own brands.
Thank you.
I hope that answers your question, Charu. Thank you so much. I would also like to request all the media members who are there right now, if you could just raise your hand in the chat, and we will come to you for your chance to ask the question. Moving next, I would like to go on to Mr. Inder Shekhar from UNI Varta. Mr. Inder Shekhar, if you're present with us, we could tell us that your question is directed towards Mr. Gilroy or Mr. Huda. All right, I think so. There's some technical, we're not being able to hear him. While we get him up, I would like to move on to Mr. Shamsher Alam. He's joined in from Nav Bharat Times. Mr. Shamsher, are you with us?
यस मेरा सवाल गिलोय सर से है सर क्या आने वाले दिनों में रामग्या मार्ट ऑफलाइन फॉर्मेट या होलसेल रिटेल मार्ट में आ रहा है
Yeah, that is a question that I was actually waiting for to answer. In fact, yes, to answer this question, हम wholesale format में आ सकते हैं for sure. We are looking at entering into the tier 2 and tier 3 cities going forward, not immediately, not in the current future, because right now we are creating value on the digital platform. But we also want to give an offline wholesale experience, which could happen, so maybe in the next 12 months. What I could say is that's an important format for us to look at. We are evaluating the potential of that format. We will have to do a lot of research to understand, is that really worth investing on in the immediate future, or should we put that in phase 2? But yes, it is definitely part of our plans, and we are looking at getting into offline wholesale as a showcase so that people can engage even physically with Ramagya Mart in the future. So I hope, Mr. Alam, this answers your question.
That'll be another big one to look out for. Thank you so much, Mr. Shamsher, for your question. Next up, I would like to request Ms. Pooja Malik, who's joining us from Business World, to please ask a question. Is Ms. Pooja Malik here? Ms. Pooja, I saw you raising your hand. If you're there, please, if you could unmute yourself and ask the question. I think there's some technical glitch there. We would like to get her back. We'll work on this. In the meanwhile, I would like to move on to Mr. Vikram Singh from Bollywood News, who wants to ask a question here. Welcome, Mr. Vikram. Your question is for?
My question from Randeep Huda ji.
All right.
Yeah.
हुड्डा जी कैसा लग रहा है रमग्या मार्ट के साथ आपको जुड़कर?
बढ़िया लग रहा है। ये इंडिया का पहला B2B होलसेल ई कॉमर्स प्लेटफॉर्म है जहाँ पे सिर्फ होम अप्लायंसेस के लिए हो रहा है। घर वालियों को बहुत इग्नोर कर रखा था ये B2B वालों ने, अभी उसके लिए एक स्पेशल प्लेटफॉर्म आ गया है। और इसका जो विश्वास स्टैंप है और ट्रस्ट और ट्रांसपेरेंसी है, वो कहीं ना कहीं मेरे खुद के काम और जीने के तरीके से जुड़ा हुआ है। तो ये एसोसिएशन बहुत अच्छी लग रही है।
अब देखा जाएगा कि घरवालियों को और घर पे रहने वाली गृहिणियों को जो होम अप्लायंसेस हैं वो मिलेंगे B2B के जरिए, और उसका ब्रांड एम्बेसडर रणदीप हुड्डा जी को बनाया गया है। रणदीप हुड्डा जी, और क्या क्या प्लानिंग रहेगी आपकी रमग्या मार्ट के साथ जुड़कर एज ए ब्रांड एम्बेसडर?
देखिए, अभी तो ये शुरुआत है, हम अभी जुड़े हैं। धीरे धीरे जैसे रामज्ञा मार्ट का प्लान बनता जाएगा, बढ़ता जाएगा, वैसे ही शायद मेरी एसोसिएशन भी उसी प्रोपोर्शन में बढ़ती और फाइन ट्यून्ड होती जाएगी। तो वो वक्त बताएगा। अभी फिलहाल लोगों तक ये बात पहुंचानी है कि ये एक प्लेटफॉर्म ऐसा है जहाँ पे बिजनेस टू बिजनेस आप काफ़ी कुछ कर सकते हैं और अपने लोकल जो मैन्युफैक्चरर्स हैं उनका भी आप ट्राई कर सकते हैं, ना कि सिर्फ फॉरेन की जो बहुत महंगी ब्रांड्स हैं उनका ही।
रणदीप जी, आखिरी सवाल है कि इस समय कोरोना पैंडेमिक चल रहा है, पिछले 2 साल से इंडस्ट्री बड़ी लॉस में जा रही है, तो आप कैसे देखते हैं इस बिजनेस को, कैसे बढ़ावा मिलेगा?
देखिए, इंडस्ट्री तो सभी लॉस में है। मेरे ख्याल से मैं बहुत ही खुशनसीब एक एक्टर हूँ जिसने पूरे कोरोना के दौरान कहीं ना कहीं काम किया है दुनिया में। पर आई एम श्योर कि जो रिटेलर्स, रीसेलर्स हैं, होलसेलर्स हैं, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स हैं, वो सब इससे जुड़ेंगे। एक एक जो आत्मनिर्भर वाली जो बात गवर्नमेंट भी करती है और हम सबको करना चाहिए, उस लोग से जो जुड़ेंगे। और शायद जो हमारे अभी लोकल ब्रांड जो इतने रिकग्नाइजेबल नहीं हैं, वो आगे बढ़कर इससे रिकग्नाइज होंगे। और वैसे भी लॉकडाउन के दौरान ई कॉमर्स और ई शॉपिंग ज़्यादा हुई है, तो इस पे मेरे ख्याल से अच्छा ही असर पड़ेगा।
थैंक यू, कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशन टू रणदीप।
थैंक यू, थैंक यू।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका विक्रम जी, समय निकालकर हमारे इवेंट में आने के लिए और आपके सवालों के लिए। Moving forward, I have Ms. Charu Lamba with me. Charu, if you could just introduce yourself and ask your question.
Hi, I'm Charu. I'm the Deputy Editor for Indian Retailer. My question is for Mr. Gilroy. I want to ask, what are the expansion plans of the brand, and do you have any plans to bet on D2C, which is an emerging category these days?
I'm sorry, I was not able to gather your question. Would you repeat your question, please?
Yeah, sure. What are your expansion plans like, and do you have any plans?
Okay, I think there is a technical issue there. Charu seems to be having a weak network, but I think Gilroy,
Just what is in D2C category?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I've got the first part of your question, Charu. So we are commencing today. As you all know, that this is a launch day. In terms of getting our expansion plans are that we are going to be expanding into multiple categories going forward. But when I look at, to answer this question right now is, I would feel that it's a premature as of now. The expansion that we are looking at is basically growing Indian manufacturers, number one. That is our impetus, right? That's why we exist. We want, if you ask me what is the mission, as said by Randeep also, we need to have, okay, I'll give you a statistic. You need to quote this statistic, Charu. If you look at the Indian home appliance business in this country, 70% of revenues of this category comes from 5 manufacturers, 5 brands, I would call it, not manufacturers, brands. Now, these 5 brands constitute to 70%, and the rest are coming from the rest of India. We imagine we have 1,000 manufacturers, and if I named some of them, you would not even have recalled them, but they are available in regional markets. They are available in markets of their proximity. So for us, the important agenda would be to actually start growing and getting brands recognized in India so that we can have our own brands being originated. And Ramagya Mart is going to be that particular propeller to drive Indian brands. So our focus is very clear. We're going to be making sure that we drive brands to create a credibility, create image, and to ensure that there is attraction that they get from a business standpoint. As I mentioned earlier in my question answer session with Ritika, that we are here to give business, we are here to build the image of the manufacturer, we are here to ensure that manufacturers get a platform that they actually invest on in such a way that they get results which is equivalent to the kind of ROI that they would expect from any other marketing platform. That is the question. To answer your question, that's typically what comes to my mind now. I also believe that there is going to be a change that is coming about. The change that is coming about is basically moving the traditional way of doing distribution to moving distribution online. You would have to wait for 1 month. And as I said, there is a platform, there is a product that we are launching. And in that product, we are going to be ensuring that there's a transitioning happening between traditional distribution to digital distribution. And our vision, we have a larger vision. We have a vision that that talks about making change, adding value, investing on behalf of manufacturers going forward when we have our own warehouses and stocking points, where we go from B2B into basically B2B, but physical B2B. So that could be the next transition that we'll be looking at. So yeah, that's long term, that's phase 2, but phase 1, all focused to build Indian brands.
Okay, one more thing in my mind. What is your warehousing capacity currently? And how are you marrying technology with the brand?
Okay, so in terms of technology, we are a transactionary platform. So if you ask us, now are we warehousing on behalf of the manufacturers? We are not following a B2C model. We are following so any B2B business doesn't have its own warehousing. Warehousing is interdependent based on our quality standards. It's all interdependent on the manufacturers, and we will be directing them as to how they need to be warehousing on behalf of us. And it's all based, because everything is customized, there's going to be a lot of customization being done from a demand generation to investment on the platform, which is an equivalent, and making sure that the transaction happens, a smooth transaction happens between the buyer and the seller, keeping in mind that we are managing the complete QC in between. So that is basically where the platform comes in. So we are an image building platform. We are a business generating platform. We are not going to be a platform where we are going to be having our own warehousing, because warehousing works in B2C. In B2B, it's all about transactioning, creating a transaction between the buyer and the seller and enabling the transaction to get complete. And that's typically what we're doing. I hope I've been able to answer your question, Charu.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charu. Thank you for being here. Moving on, next, there's another question, Gilroy, which has come for you from Pooja Malik from Business World. There's a technical glitch, so she's not being able to unmute herself. Okay. But she sent a question though. She says that there are 1,000 manufacturers, like you said, who are already listed on Ramagya Mart. So why do we have only 4 or 5 large brands which control the Indian home appliances market?
That's a very interesting question. Now, I have to think about, so the answers are actually coming across very clearly. One is that they are mostly, if you look at the constituents of those 5 brands, from there, 3 of the brands are international brands. Okay, there are 2 Indian originated brands that have been in existence for the last 20 years. So they have age on their side, basically, right? That's what they call it, experience and age on their side. Now, when we look at the other reason as to why we don't have more manufacturers, I think it's because there was no platform available for them to actually reach out to pan-India to tell people who they are. And I think that is a missing element in this whole scenario. So what they missed was a credibility building platform. And we did a research, and in this research, we found out that 36% of manufacturers did not understand the differentiation between business promotion and brand building. So when we look at that, and you look at 36% manufacturers who actually claim that we don't have the capability and the knowledge to transact and to create value from a brand promotional aspect, and that is typically the opportunity that lies ahead for us, for them, at least for, when I say us, I'm talking about Indian manufacturers, because we represent Indian manufacturers. So that's, I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yes, very elaborately. Thank you so much, Gilroy. Moving on to the next one. The next question is coming up for Mr. Randeep Huda, I think, and we have Mr. Inder Shekhar, who's managed to get back up from UNI Varta. Mr. Inder Shekhar, if you could just introduce yourself and ask your question.
मैं इंद्र शेखर हूँ यूनिवार्ता से।
जी
हेलो।
हाँ जी, बोलिए।
जी, आप नया प्लेटफॉर्म लेके आ रहे हैं मार्केट में। मार्केट में बहुत सारे इस तरह के प्लेटफॉर्म हैं, तो क्या इस भीड़ भरे बाजार में आप अपने आप को एस्टेब्लिश करने के लिए कौन कौन सी मार्केटिंग स्ट्रेटेजी लेके आ रहे हैं, ताकि आप टारगेटेड कस्टमर और टारगेटेड जो ब्रांडेड है उन तक पहुंच सकें?
मेरे ख्याल से पहली बात तो ये सवाल गिलरॉय जी के लिए ज़्यादा बेहतर है, पर बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं इसमें। लेकिन अगर आप होम अप्लायंसेस का ऐसा B2B प्लेटफॉर्म, मुझे तो और कोई नहीं दिखा है। अगर आपको दिखा है तो प्लीज़ उनको उनकी दुकान बंद कराइए गिलरॉय के लिए। पर इसका जो आपका जो इनकी जो स्ट्रैटेजी की डीप बातें, जो आपने बहुत संजीदा बातें जो की हैं, उनका उत्तर शायद Gilroy ji बेहतर देंगे।
जी जी।
Yeah, Gilroy, please come in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So great. So Indra Shekhar ji, right?
जी जी।
हाँ जी। तो अगर आप देखेंगे इंडिया में ऐसा कोई B2B प्लेटफॉर्म नहीं है। जब हम B2B बोलते हैं तो हम मैन्युफैक्चरर्स और ट्रेडर्स को हम जोड़ते हैं। ऐसा कोई ट्रांजैक्शन प्लेटफॉर्म नहीं है इंडिया में जो सिर्फ होम अप्लायंसेस एक्सक्लूसिवली के ऊपर फोकस करते हैं। नंबर 1। पॉइंट नंबर 2, हमारा जो इंटेंशन है, हमारा जो विजन है, वो विजन ये है कि हमें इंडियन होम मैन्युफैक्चरर्स का जो इमेज बिल्डिंग जो होता है वो कस्टमाइजेशन के थ्रू हम कर रहे हैं। और वो कस्टमाइज्ड इवेंट, आई मीन एंगेजमेंट जो बोलते हैं हम लोग, वो एंगेजमेंट सिर्फ यही प्लेटफॉर्म पे हो सकता है और कोई प्लेटफॉर्म पे हो नहीं सकता है। सेकेंडली, जैसा मैंने आपको ये भी बोला था I had mentioned in between the Q&A sessions that when there is an engagement of any manufacturer, जब कोई मैन्युफैक्चरर ऑन बोर्ड हो गया, अभी ऑन बोर्ड होंगे, लेकिन ट्रांसैक्ट वो कभी करेंगे जब उनके पास एक विश्वास सर्टिफिकेशन होगा। और जब तक हम वो विश्वास सर्टिफिकेशन उनको नहीं देंगे, और वो विश्वास सर्टिफिकेशन होता है जब हम फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन करते हैं। आजकल जो डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म के जो सिचुएशन होता है वो ये होता है कि हम कोई भी मतलब ऑनलाइन आ सकते हैं, कोई भी, anybody and everybody will be able to put up a shop, but there has to be a physical verification, and that is the reason अगर आपको रामाग्या मार्ट पे अगर आपको ट्रांजैक्शन करना है तो पहले आपको एक विश्वास सील मिलना है। आपको विश्वास सर्टिफिकेशन के बाद ही हम आपको प्रमोट कर सकते हैं। That is the reason, and that makes us different. That makes us very different because we are not here to just do business. We are here to ensure that business is done with transparency and trust. And I think with that particular mission and Atmanirbhar Bharat mission that we have, we want India to be self-reliant, India to use from India. And I think that is something that is very different compared to any other platforms. कोई भी platform होता है वो सबको, they service everybody basically. We are not servicing everybody. We are servicing only people who is a category that we are focusing on. I hope I've been able to answer that question.
सर, एक और सवाल है मेरा। अभी जो ट्रेंड चल रहा है ऑनलाइन में, चाहे वो B2B हो या B2C हो, बम्पर
सर आप म्यूट पे गए। सर आप म्यूट पे है।
शेखर जी, अपना माइक आपने म्यूट कर दिया।
आपने म्यूट कर दिया माइक आपका।
आपके अपने आप को अनम्यूट कर पा रहे हैं? Okay, I think they seem.
Hello.
He's mute. He's unmuted.
Hello.
Please, please अपना सवाल पूछें।
Hello.
जी हम आपको सुन पा रहे हैं। इंद्रशेखर जी अपना सवाल पूछिए। Okay, now I think there seems to be some network.
डिस्काउंटिंग का ट्रेंड, तो क्या आपके प्लेटफॉर्म पे भी डिस्काउंटिंग का होगा? ब्रांड डिस्काउंट कर सकते हैं या फिर कुछ उनके लिए अलग से?
All right, Gilroy, could you get the question?
Now, if I'm not mistaken, the question is that do you have a discounting kind of a policy on your platform? I think that is what summarizes it, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So yes, brands definitely will discount. अगर उनको business चाहिए तो discounting उनको करना पड़ेगा. और अगर हम वॉल्यूम बिजनेस की बात कर रहे हैं, हम एक पीस की बात नहीं कर रहे. B2C में आप एक पीस बाय कर सकते हैं, लेकिन B2B प्लेटफॉर्म में यू हैव टू बाय इन मल्टीपल्स. तो जहां पे मल्टीपल्स है, हमारे प्लेटफॉर्म में ऑप्शंस होते हैं जहां पे आप वो वॉल्यूम सेलेक्ट करते हैं, तो वहां पे आपको वो वॉल्यूम के हिसाब से आपको वो प्राइस मिल जाएगा जो मैन्युफैक्चरर, होलसेलर, ट्रेडर, रिटेलर या डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को देता है. और ये जो B2B का जो ट्रांसैक्शन में हमेशा एक डिस्काउंटिंग पॉलिसी होगा, और वो डिस्काउंटिंग जो पॉलिसी है वो मैन्युफैक्चरर हमें देता है बेसिकली डिस्काउंट करके. हम उनको इनकरेज करते हैं ज्यादा डिस्काउंट देने के लिए, क्योंकि ज्यादा डिस्काउंट मिलेगा तभी उनका ट्रांसैक्शन हो जाएगा. तो वो दैट इज समथिंग दैट वी विल नेगोशिएट ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ द बायर विद द मैन्युफैक्चरर. जहां पे अगर आप हमारे पास आए और बोले कि मुझे 100 मिक्सर ग्राइंडर चाहिए या 100 हेयर ड्रायर चाहिए, वी विल इंश्योर वी मेक श्योर कि मैन्युफैक्चरर हमें ऐसा प्राइस दे जो आपको यू विल बी एबल टू बाय इट बेसिकली. So that's the. I hope I have answered this.
Yeah.
बहुत शुक्रिया इंद्रशेखर जी. Thank you so much, Gilroy. Thank you. Moving forward, we have more media people waiting, but I would like to request them to keep the questions limited to one, so that we can give everybody a chance to ask the question we can cover up. I have Sakshi Dubey with me right now. Sakshi, I request you to please identify yourself and ask your question. Sakshi, are you there? Can you hear me?
I'm here.
Yeah, could you please ask your question?
Yeah. Good afternoon, all. This is Sakshi. My question is for Randeep sir.
Sure.
So, sir, tell us something about your previous experience as brand ambassador.
Well, it depends on the brand that I am representing. Every brand has its own different qualities.
So, like, what was your biggest challenge and how did you overcome it?
Being a brand ambassador?
Yes.
I think the challenge lies with the brand, not me in that instance.
So, what's your view on?
I don't know. Your question is very vague, my dear.
Ramagya Mart. So, what's your view on this, Ramagya Mart?
Okay.
On this particular thing, well, it is the only. So far, the only wholesale e-commerce platform for home appliances. It's got a dynamic business model, and it's got this Vishwas stamp and trust and transparency at the heart of it, which resonates with me as a person mostly. Well, we all try to be, and that's why it was a good match for me to be a brand ambassador for Ramagya Mart. I thought you were just asking me a general question.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sakshi. Thank you for your question. रणदीप, अपनी फिल्मों को लेके तो आप अपनी बारीक नजर के ले जाने जाते हैं. आपकी फिल्में उठाएं तो वो अलग उभर कर आती हैं. I'm sure कुछ इस तरह की सोच is also applicable when you're looking out for association with brands, is it?
Absolutely. I mean, there has to be a certain
basic
innovation to it. There has to be a certain a newness to it, a certain reach to it, and something that it takes into account, which like while I'm choosing a role, if there is something that I have never done, I'll be more inclined towards that. And if there is a very good script with a good filmmaker who's got an idea which I've done before, I'll pass it on, because that was the one face that I had for that particular thing, and I've already shown it, so I don't want to bore people with it. So similarly, if there is new innovative ideas and Indian at their core are some things which I'm attracted to.
Okay, and that's what brings you to Ramagya Mart, is it? Thank you so much, Mr. Randeep Huda. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the media people who've taken our time and joined us for this launch event of Ramagya Mart. And if, because of paucity of time, we haven't managed to take you in any question, I request you to please direct them to the PR team at Ramagya Mart. We will get back with the answers as soon as possible. Before we move any further, let me announce that we had a very interesting contest going on social media. We threw some questions related to Ramagya Mart to our followers, and we have 20 lucky winners who managed to take away some very exciting prizes. Ranveer, could you do the honors and announce the winners, please, for the contest?
Well, Ritika, I don't think I could announce all the winners, but I want to congratulate them on all the winners on their answers and their engagement. And they'll be up on the screen, all the names. And I hope this is another engagement or another encouragement for the engagement with Ramagya Mart.
Can we have the winners' names up, please? All right, so we have these 20 winners of our contest here, and many, many congratulations, and we make sure that your prizes reach you very, very soon. Thank you so much for engaging with our contest.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, yeah. Perfect.
So it's time we bring the curtains down on just this launch, because our journey at Ramagya Mart truly has just begun. Of course, we have to thank, first of all, Mr. Randeep Huda for making time out and being here and supporting and encouraging the cause of Ramagya Mart. And Gilroy, thank you very much for taking all the questions from the media, and of course, Mr. Utkarsh and Dr. Sanjay Gupta for building something up that that's going to give the impetus to the local Indian manufacturers that they have been looking for. So all the manufacturers who are with us in this event right now, if you haven't registered yourself on Ramagya Mart, the time is now. This is where the growth starts. Thank you so much. हमारे साथ जुड़िए, Ramagya Mart के साथ हाथ मिलाइए ताकि हम सब एक साथ आगे मिलकर बढ़ाएं देश का व्यापार. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you.